Let's look at the Lobo, specifically the Ford Maverick Lobo and the Ford F-150 Lobo. Now, these trucks are not directly comparable. That is not the point of this test today. It's to see whether Ford's upgrades, cosmetically, performance, style, and added technology, if that actually translates to your dollars, especially on the truck market today. If you're shopping for full-size or compact, these are unique offerings. So I'm going to tell you which one drives better and which one truly, for the money you're spending in each class, is worth it. What exactly is Lobo? Well, since 1997 in Mexico, upper trims of the F-150 have been called Lobo, which in Spanish means wolf. XL and XLT trims are still considered the F-150. It's the plusher street trucks that wear the Lobo badge. But in America, this is supposed to mean an elevated level of performance and style. Not quite to the level of Ford Performance or ST, but getting somewhat close. The Maverick Lobo has some noticeable changes versus the regular turbocharged or hybrid models that you see out there. Notably, these wheels. They're turbofans, as Ford calls them, 19 inches, nice and solid, looks like a rally car from the 80s, and what you can't see are the larger brakes up front. A lot of that hardware is borrowed from the European Focus ST. Of course, Ford no longer sells cars here except the Mustang in the United States, but better braking is hidden behind these really pretty wheels. I love that. Now, this truck has a lot more ground effects, so you're noticing slightly different bumpers, a new grille design. The bumpers in the back, those haven't changed much, but all of that put together, plus a suspension drop, ½ inch in the front, 1.1 inches in the rear. Its clearance is only 7.4 inches when most Mavericks are anywhere from 8 to just over 9 inches. So certainly noticeable when you're looking at this truck. All of them come with a 4.5-foot bed with the crew cab. I just like how this truck looks in any configuration. And in Lobo trim, it's certainly unique. The only visible change to the 2026 Maverick, unlike this one you see here, is that the black Ford logo is now blue. I really prefer it black. It looks a lot better. It matches the sportiness of this truck. With the F-150, you get a choice of 3 cab styles, regular, super cab, or super crew, like this one, or you get 3 beds, combination of all of them, depending on each of those 8 trims, 5.5, which this one is, the 6.5, or a full 8-foot. Now on here, the Lobo package is actually a package. It's not truly a trim. What it does, it drops the rear suspension 2 inches, which is actually a pretty cool feature. So it does ride a bit lower. It doesn't squat, but you notice it, especially on these black 22-inch wheels. There's 10 different pieces of ground effects from the front to the back to the side, and the back also has black exhaust tips, which you can see prominently here through the bumper. Else, it's a regular F-150, but you notice from the front with that new grille, it has a new dashed LED accent lighting effect that no other F-150 trim has, including the Raptor. There's also black badging throughout and an enlarged hood. That's bigger. It's a big cowled hood, as Ford calls it. I, however, wouldn't choose this white. I think it looks too close to a commercial truck, all the work trucks that are out there that are base models. This one really deserves to be in all black, which looks pretty sinister, or a darker blue. The Maverick has the exact same engine as the upper trims, but the tuning, specifically in the transmission and the transmission itself, that's what separates it. It sounds really good. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. There's a reason why Hyundai is canceling the Santa Cruz and Ford is leagues ahead with the Maverick, because this truck drives exceptionally well in any trim. But in Lobo, it's actually cutting out a gear. It's using the same 8-speed automatic transmission that's paired with this engine. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, the same power outputs, 250 horsepower, almost 280 pound-feet of torque. But instead of giving you the full 8 gears, Ford locks out second. So it's effectively at a launch going from first to third. The thinking behind that is that tighter autocrosses and, say, tracks, I know it sounds weird, but they were developing it for that so you wouldn't need to be shifting so early. You're always in the sweet spot. That's what they say. On the road, I mean, it totally works well, I gotta say that. So it's not like you're getting worse efficiency on the highway because you still have that top 8th gear. It's just a strange thing to lock out the second gear. It's so funny, to be honest. But it sounds good. You can hear the turbo whooshing, and this truck is light. I mean, there's not much truck to drive. That's why it's so enjoyable to drive, and the sound is good. Fuel efficiency, really more or less the same as other Mavericks with this same engine. 21 city, 30 highway, 24 combined. And of course, even though this is the Lobo, if you didn't want all this performance, there's the hybrid, and especially in front wheel drive trim, well over 40 mpg. There's nothing else like this truck. It really isn't. So you got plenty of choices. But for me, immediately apparent with the Maverick Lobo versus the F-150 Lobo is that Ford actually went that extra step, many steps, to tune this in a proper way. So in addition to the transmission, it's the throttle mapping, it's the gear changes. That feels quicker. Plus there's shift paddles. I mean, that really does make a big difference. And the response, it's excellent. Again, this is the same powertrain you'll find in the upper trims of the Ford Bronco Sport. Not meant to be a performance vehicle, but it already had a really good start to it. And these just electronic tunes that are really on here, that's all they are, add up, and it matters. It really does, it's noticeable. What's also unique is that the Maverick Lobo has Lobo mode. Definitely sounds a little bit louder in here, and when you're driving on it, it holds the gears extra long versus Sport. So even when you're getting off, it's consistently all the time in a lower gear. Funny thing with these animations, it actually suggests that you would take this on an autocross. So maybe there are Maverick Lobo owners who want to do that. It says track use only, but clearly not on a track. We're not going to be. Lobo mode also lowers the stability control, so it will not come in as early in the standard mode or the sport mode. But you're still working with all-wheel drive, and it's got that twin clutch rear axle like you'll find in other Mavericks. So it doesn't matter if you're in this one, that's the same exact type of tune. But it also does activate torque vectoring, which is what that axle can do, more aggressively. And that, when coupled with this lower ride height, front and rear, it's a stiffer ride, but it's more secure, and it really does feel like a car. Maverick always had, but even just going over that bump right there, the rebound feels a lot stiffer. Everything about it. It does not have as much give or sway. Really flat cornering, just fun to drive. And just paddle shifters in a little pickup truck sounds phenomenal for a 4-cylinder engine. Like, it really does. That's the thing about the F-150 Lobo, is that it's got a big V8, but it's half the fun. It's not more fun, it's less fun. It feels lazy. This truck, doesn't matter that it's lighter. The response from the powertrain, everything from the throttle calibration to how the driving modes actually react, how they change. This to me is ultimately a driver's truck. Weird to say that. But Ford has clearly spent their R&D money on actually making this feel like a different truck to drive. The F-150 Lobo does not do that at all. I really think if you threw on some summer tires on this truck, wow, game over. You will be out handling a lot of cars out there. As it stands, these tires, these Goodyear Wranglers, they're kind of like all seasons. They're HTs. That doesn't mean all-terrain, but it does mean kind of slightly more focus for off-road than a traditional all-season passenger car tire. My thought is, if you really want to keep this on the road, and you should, just upgrade it. Despite there being really not aggressive tires at all, the handling is absolutely fantastic. It is. You feel that back axle push you in, you forget you're driving a truck. Completely. And the brakes on here, it just makes me wish we had a Focus ST in America. So this is the next best thing. Sure sounds good. That's that big 5-liter V8. Normal aspiration, no turbo, no supercharger, no electrification, just 400 horsepower and a little over 400 pound-feet of torque. But in truth, there's no change to the calibration. There is not even a louder exhaust, which it sounds loud enough, but most of it's coming from under the hood here, which is nice. Nice sounds, not complaining at all, I love it. But for a truck that's supposed to be built on performance. Yeah, we got the V8, but it kind of feels laggardly. Again, I think it has to do with this transmission itself paired with this engine, and just the fact that there's no special driving mode. I mean, the V8 sounds great. Just leave it there. But I think I'm getting too used to, as probably a lot of truck buyers are, turbochargers. Just fills in a torque gap. But this engine shouldn't have that issue. I really think it boils down to the transmission's gearing. It's not optimized for this engine. And even though the Lobo has a shorter rear end, so it's a 373 axle versus a lot of the 355s that you'll typically get, that should help, but it really doesn't. And so driving it, it's not like I'm expecting this to be a V8 Raptor. Not the Raptor R, but a regular V8 Raptor. It's not that. It's just, I would like 20 to 30% more with how they're fitting this truck, because it just feels like a regular F-150 V8. And that's nice, but it looks way more special than it actually drives. Like, it's just lazy. Yeah, it sounds great, it does, but I don't know, I hate the throttle calibration here, and that's an easy software fix. I don't want it to be jumpy, but in sport mode, the Lobo just, it's not Loboing enough. It's not. It's low-balling me, that's what it's doing. Yeah, and there's just, the exhaust could be more open. I'm feeling the back pressure there. These are small fixes, and I think Ford's gonna have to notch this up. Body control is good on every single F-150, so no problems there. Great chassis, and I think the brakes are also good. Again, no upgrades. Helps keep the cost down. But what am I gonna say? Ford, you can do more, you know you can. The Maverick Lobo keeps everything basic. Even though this is an upper trim, you're not gonna find nice surfaces, nothing like you'll find in upper trims like a Ranger or an F-150, for example. But I like it. That is the point of a truck like this. There are unique touches. There's Lobo embossed on these seats, and you can upgrade them to what Ford calls Active X. It's synthetic leather, vinyl. It feels pretty good, easy to clean. There's also yellow and blue stitching, and the quality of that is also very good. Plus paddle shifters, which you won't find in any other Maverick trim, but it's on the Lobo. The F-150 Lobo is meant to be the affordable F-150, so that means a urethane steering wheel, not leather wrapped. Got an actual key that you gotta twist, kind of nice and old school. Manual cloth seats, no heating, not even automatic climate control. So a lot of luxuries, well, I don't even consider having a mirror luxury, but that's gone from this trim as well. But skimping on features doesn't mean the design or the materials feel cheap. It's pretty good inside here. Lots of chunky analog controls. The 12-inch touchscreen is neatly integrated into the dash. And there's also a fold-down work surface. It would still be nice to have more amenities for over $60,000, but considering this is based on the STX, which is just one up from the bottom, it's not all that bad. For being a compact truck, the Maverick actually has a decent amount of space. I think it rivals what mid-sized trucks are doing, like the Ranger. And like the bigger F-150, there's a 400-watt outlet back here and USB ports. This isn't a king ranch, but the F-150 Lobo still provides kingly levels of legroom and headroom, especially because you cannot get a panoramic moonroof or a sunroof. So tons of space back here. No amenities aside from USB-C ports. It's nice to have this 400-watt plug. I like that. That's also part of an optional package, and rear air vents. The Maverick's maximum towing is up to 4,000 pounds. Maximum payload in that 4.5-foot bed, 2,000. As equipped with this Lobo, it's a little over 1,000 pounds. When you compare that to an F-150 Lobo, the payload really isn't all that much different. The towing isn't half, but again, you're getting basically half the truck, and that's honestly the best part of the Maverick, including in Lobo trim, because it's low. And if you don't need a long bed or anything else on it, it really is great for small loads, day-to-day use, while still having all the features that you could find in the F-150, like the spray-in bed liner, you got the cleats and the rails on the side, plus there's options to upfit it. There's even DC outlets here so you can plug in electrical accessories. A lot of ways to customize this truck. Maximum towing on a new F-150 is up to 13,500 pounds and payload just over 2,400 pounds. Now on this Lobo, it's under 8,000 pounds towing and just over 1,400 pounds of payload. So not all that much, but again, you're paying for the performance, not so much for the hauling. Now on this truck, even though it has the optional spray-in bed liner, you're gonna have to get an optional damp tailgate because this really closes old school. It's heavy, you really gotta watch out for that. It does have a 400 watt inverter on board, so there's a plug in the cabin and one right over here in the bed. That is useful, but there's no power or even sliding glass rear window, and a lot of other options are not even available on this trim. The Maverick gets this 13.2-inch touchscreen. It's running Sync 4, but only if you're getting the 702A package, which also brings navigation. Of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, that's all here. It is 2026 after all. You do get enough driver assistance features. Blue Cruise, of course, you're not gonna get that on here, but all the basics with all the Ford systems, good. You're not gonna find that in the F-150 Lobo either. Now the Maverick used to have climate controls all down here. Now there's a trailer assist thing, which you never ever use, right? It's rare, let's just say that. Not an everyday thing. So the climate controls are now here, but it's also here, and then it's also here. This is just not a great way to do this. I loved how simple the Maverick was before. Again, buttons were here. Now the driving modes are no longer down below here. They're on the steering wheel, and it's making this more complex than it needs to be. The Maverick is simple, right? It doesn't need anything more, making it more complex. However, I will say that at least this responds well. It's better than previous Fords with this system, which were very laggy. And this whole screen is actually canted, not toward me, but it's tilted, like it's kind of going like this. It's a weird feeling from the driver's seat. Looks better for you viewers right there, looking at it head on, but driving, this is definitely not ideal. The Maverick Lobo has this smaller digital instrument panel. It's got analog style, it's backlit, fuel gauges and engine temperature. The driving modes are now on the steering wheel. This was a little hard to find at first. Once you get used to it, they really feel like they're seek buttons, but that's below here. So that's a misstep, I don't like that, but it's real buttons, so I guess I should be thankful. Lobo mode, track use only, not really, hint, hint. No, but really, the graphics are good, right? It's all nice. I like that here. A simplified version of the F-150 Lobo, and if you go in here, there's a few menu options. You can see towing information, you can do some basic navigation. So that's all pretty good, and it's accessible right here on the wheel. The F-150 Lobo has this 12-inch screen. It's more of a square setup. I like it. It's neatly integrated into the dash, easy to use, a lot quicker than what you'll find on, say, the big portrait touchscreen on the F-150 Lightning. It runs quicker too. Now this one doesn't have nearly as many features because you can't do that, but what it does have, it has the zone lighting feature that Ford is really good at, so you can adjust lighting on different sides of the truck when the truck is off. Really nice, I always like that. Towing, all that good stuff, CarPlay, and of course you can also adjust this. You would think that you should be able to swipe this, you can't, you gotta use these buttons here, so that's a little bit of a misstep in my opinion. They could change that too with the software update, but it's got over-the-air software updates and manual controls in so many other ways, volume, tuning, seeking, climate controls, four-wheel drive, so many other things you can't even see here. It's simple to use, simple to operate every day, and that's why I do like this interior a lot. The F-150 has this really good digital instrument panel, and by really good, just means it's simple to use. The graphics are really large, they're crisp. Minimal things you need to even see, which I also like. They keep it simple, buttons on the steering wheel here, and changing the drive modes. You get some nice graphics here, you can see everything that's happening. Who wants to be in normal mode, right? Not with a truck like this, but sometimes you have to. And I think that's all right. And the graphics are good, they look clear. And despite this being digital, yes, there's no full screen maps, there should be. But again, you can see more information if you want, such as here. So a lot of good stuff to be found. The 2026 Ford F-150 Lobo is $62,000 as you see it here. The 2026 Ford Maverick Lobo, as you see it here with the 702A option package, $43,000. To me, it's the Maverick that wears the Lobo badge so much better, because it's a thought-out package, performance-wise and also with software tuning. Whereas the F-150 Lobo, despite that rear suspension drop, this is an appearance package. I honestly don't like the way it drives versus the difference I feel with the Maverick. And considering on the full-size truck market, the F-150 Lobo is still a value, yes, the fact that I'm not getting so many amenities that I'm getting in this truck, the Maverick, that really makes me question. And I do think Ford, while they have the Maverick game perfectly settled, they have to do more with the F-150, especially now that Ram is in the picture with Rumblebee. What do you think? And you want to see more truck reviews? We've got them. Go to CarGurus.com, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.